Seara tuturor! Am să încep seara aceasta în limba română, dar o voi continua în limba engleză, alături de invitata mea, alături de Granddaughter Crow. Bine ați venit la Reimagine Talks! Eu una sunt extrem de entuziasmată, deoarece am primit acest cadou frumos. So now I will switch to English and welcome everyone. I was just saying that I am very enthusiastic for this talk and grateful for the gift that I received from you being here today with us and discussing a topic that is very close to my heart. And this is the teachers that usually don't have words, but they surround us. Mm-hmm. So welcome, dear Dr. Joy Gray and Granddaughter Crow. Welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so honored to be here, and I want to just say thank you to you as the hostess who brought me here. I am just so excited to engage with you beautiful people, and it just makes me so happy. It really makes me so happy. Mm-hmm.
So before I will pass on to you, because I am eager to find out more and more, even more than I read in your book, which was translated in Romanian, The Wisdom of the Natural World. And now I will say it in Romanian also, Înțelepciunea lumii naturale. But first of all, I would like to say that I received the Granddaughter Crow book at a book fair. And I was so amazed about the simple, but yet so full of wisdom, words and exercises and everything that I found in that book, that I confessed, I woke up in the morning and I say, I will write to Granddaughter Crow and ask her to come here. So I wrote to her and she answered. And she is a wonderful person, because besides the fact that she is a medicine person, and she will tell you more about it, and as I know it, and please correct me, she's coming from a long line of Navajo community. Yes. Of healers, right? Yes. In the end, that's the medicine person, that's a healer. But she also holds a title of doctor in leadership. And actually, and I will let you say that so that you will say it right, your book, I just find out, it was nominated, right? And it won actually an award. And yeah, I'm also happy to have you here. I'm also happy for the one that are watching us. Yeah, that's the book.
Yes, so in 2022, the visionary of resources, the Coalition of Visionary Resources, gave me a gold winner for Wisdom of the Natural World. I was really surprised. I didn't even know that I was nominated. And it was just really exciting because it's so, like you said, it's so simple, yet so profound to look into the natural world and be able to, like you said, it doesn't speak in words, but it does speak to us very, very deeply if we open ourselves to listen. It's very honest, pure, and it provides so many different lessons to us. And I'm just excited to be able to bring that book. And when I found out that it was translated into the Romanian language, I was overjoyed. I was so excited. And then when you wrote to me, I couldn't believe it. I was like, yay, I'm doing this. This is going to be great. I get to connect with family across the ocean, and it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I'm airing here from Colorado, USA. So it's, for me, it's 10 a.m. in the morning, but I want to say good evening to all of my new family.
And good morning to you too.
Thank you.
Good morning. And it's in your other name, the joy. And
Yes.
I just saw you talking with so much passion about it. And just to have a start, because you mentioned the idea of there is so much to hear if we are open to listen, not necessarily to the words, but also to the energy that surrounds us. So I invite you to tell us a bit about yourself and about your indigenous heritage, which is something that, at least in my view, would probably offer us some insights about this openness. Because the words are limiting us in listening. So we are using words now, but there is also some energy flowing in between us. So tell us a bit about your heritage and how you got to be here today and have this book written. Tell us anything you want. We'll listen.
Absolutely. I would love to share. So, um, I come from the Navajo Nation, which is in the USA called the Four Corners. So the states of Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah and Arizona, those are where my people come from. So we were back in 1865, we were pushed out to the desert and asked to survive there. And if you know anything about being indigenous to, First Nation of the United States,
Mm.
there is a very deep connection to being able to work with the natural world. And instead of always relying upon humans' concepts to tell us what we should do and how we should think and what we should feel, if you go, when in my studying, in my schooling, I learned that only 15%, so a very small amount, 15% of communication is words, which means 85% of communication is within body language. It's within your tone, your facial expressions, all of this. And so if you think that that's actually what we're communicating to each other, even though I wish I could speak Romanian, I can't, but the idea that you can pick up on my energy, not just because of the words that I'm working with, but because of the body language and the tone. You can feel the passion. And so it is with the natural world. It may not speak in words, but look at what it's doing and gain the wisdom. For example, if I am tired or there is maybe a challenge before me and I feel like my life is just it's hard, I go outside and I look at a tree and I ask the tree, how do I handle this? What do I do? Share with me a wisdom so that I know how to be in this world at this time. And I will look at the tree and it stands really, really tall. And the winds are blowing around it. And the tree is like, the winds make me stronger. The winds make me stronger. So then I look at my problems and I'm like, they make me stronger. It is not personal. It is natural that I am getting tested to stand up taller and I will be here. The beauty around just that is so wonderful, but the interconnectivity, me connecting with the natural world, is what I think gets lost on a lot of people. I realize that the natural world is observing me just as much as I am observing it. So what I mean is I may touch the tree, and in that, I'm not just touching the tree. I know that on some level, the tree knows that I'm touching it and it's touching me back. it's like I watch a bird in the sky, and if it lets me see it, chances are it saw me before I saw it, and it let me see it. And so when I begin to move into the natural world, recognizing that it knows me too, and that we're having a conversation, a dialogue, and interaction, that's what makes me feel so fulfilled, not lonely. It makes me feel connected to this great wisdom. And I absolutely love it. So, for example, I pay attention to the animals within the natural world. I pay attention to the plants within the natural world. And I look at them, and they, because of their body language or how they are growing or what they are doing, I can sit with that, and it gives me a feeling that I have to put into my own language in order to understand it or articulate it. But it gives me a sensation of hope and love and connection and strength. So I think that's one of the differences, that in the way that I think as an Indigenous person, that I believe a lot of people who are listening will go, I understand that. I understand that, because it is not just because of my Indigenous nature that I see this, it's because of my interconnectivity with the natural world. And so no matter what race, creed, color, where you land on this planet, we all, if we go back far enough in our history, our ancestors worked with the natural world instead of try to dominate the natural world. And that's what I think is beautiful. So I try to work with the natural world. And to the extent that I realize, wait, I am made of the same things that that tree and that dog and that bird is made out of, oxygen and minerals. And I am the natural world. I am the natural world. And it just makes me feel so relaxed. No matter what's going on in my life, I feel relaxed.
And the natural world is us, right? So
Yes.
it's always an exchange. And what I find it very powerful, and if I may just quote you on that, is what you said before, is that our ancestors, irrespective of the nation, they were living with the nature, not
Yes.
not against the nature. There was a dialogue. And this domination that you are mentioning is something very real. And it's not only at my level or at your level or community or nation level. It's something that we can all see around us. But what I think maybe it was I would say the privilege, but again, it's only words. But there is a privilege, since you were a child, to have access to those practices, because we see the world through the eyes of the childhood, what we learn in childhood,
Yes.
you know. And I think that's the root of this openness. Yes, uh,
Yes.
we all, in a way, try to get closer to nature, but we weren't when we were a child.
Mm.
So I am wondering, how was your childhood experience in connecting to the nature? Because
Yeah.
for me personally, my experience was that I was living in a block of flats between four walls. Um, we were allowed to get out, but it was only concrete over there, maybe some tree, maybe. Uh, we were learning about animals at school, but no one was showing us an animal. So I discovered the nature on my own because it was a call, but nobody taught us that. So what I'm saying is that it will be wonderful if you could share with us the childhood wisdom to start with.
Yes. That is brilliant. I agree with what you have to say, because our minds as a child, especially between the age of 1 and 5, are just looking around. And if all we see is 4 walls, our mind creates this little box that we have to stay in if we're not able to go out there. So the reason why I'm named Granddaughter Crow is because my grandfather on my father's side was a medicine person, and he ended up passing on before I was born, but I could feel his spirit. It's like his wisdom ran through my blood. And so, and my father is a spiritual person, my aunts are spiritual people. So when you are born into this consciousness of spirituality and interconnectedness with all things, this feeling that everything is alive, everything has consciousness, has some sort of awareness, even a rock has some sort of an awareness and should be treated with respect. And so it'll treat us with respect. So growing up, I did not experience the division that most people on the face of this earth experience. And the division is kind of what you were saying, the 4 walls, the concrete, the learning because you hear it or see a picture, but not touching it, not experiencing it. So I guess the difference would be this: you can read a big book about how to ride a bicycle, but you will not ever know how to ride a bicycle until you get on the bicycle and let your body experience what that is. And then you will never forget it, not because of your head, but because of the intellect of your natural world, your earth, your body. And so it is that I was exposed to talking with plants, asking them what they want, asking them to grow, seeing if they needed to be in the sunshine or that. I grew up talking with animals. Sometimes I would wonder, what are they saying? What are they saying? But in a weird way, they tell you with their body language. Like, I have a cat, she never goes hungry, and she doesn't speak my language in words, but she tells me when she wants food, And it's interesting because that is probably a good first step on how it is that we are already communicating. And it is not necessarily something that you learn in your head. It is something that you learn in your body, just like riding a bicycle. You can't learn it in your head, you learn it in your body. And the idea is that you are already talking with the natural world. You just need to recognize it and open up and hear what it's telling you. It's just like when you take a walk in the forest or on the land or with your dog or on the grass or by the water. There is a change within your mood. There is a change within your mind. And that's because the wisdom of the natural world is drawing you into a deeper wisdom, understanding of who you are and that you belong here.
Yeah. And I'm hearing you, and I would dare say in the end, it's that we already we already have the language. As you can see, we already have the language. We are not used to notice the language because
Yes.
our body is the language, as it's their body. And also the tree has a body, right?
Yes.
We have roots as the trees. We have also a spine as the tree, and
Yes.
so on, right? So what I'm hearing from you is that something that I also feel it, and it's also been talked also in scientific terms. We don't have to be taught anything. We just need to listen. And when we start listening to the nature, the big gift is that we start listening to ourselves.
Yes.
We see how we react from our body when we feel joy, when we feel safety, when we feel openness, and we see how we defend, right?
Yes.
We also see how we connect with other people. But if we are not aware of our body language, we don't understand on a cognitive level why people react like this when we want to be friendly and they answer maybe in anger or in rejection or whatever. So I was wondering, how was this way of growing up for you brought you today here working with people, not only as a writer, but you are also working with people, you provide coaching services, you also have workshops for this reconnection. How do you combine them? Because I assume you also meet people who didn't have this, I would say, opportunity to
Yes.
to have access to this language. It's like you need to teach a person of 40 plus how to talk again and not using words, right? So
Yes.
how is this going on for you?
Yes. I think each individual and each culture has different ways of doing this, but in a lot of the cultures that outside of the indigenous or Native American side that I have, the schools that I went to, they tell us children should be seen and not heard. You need to don't and if we're not being heard, we don't listen to ourselves. And so it's like, this sounds funny, but I would say I tell people, you have permission to be you. You have permission to listen to yourself. What is your body saying? Give it a voice. You have permission to feel your feelings and emotions. Give them a voice. You have permission to listen to your thoughts. Give it a voice. No longer are you being asked to be silent. Not with me. I want to hear you so that you can hear you. And I think it's like the little child within people get excited. They're like, you want to hear what I have to say? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, I don't know what to say. And I'm like, that's fine. And then I talk with them. I tell them to journal, to write about their experience and the beauty around that. So I think in actuality, what I'm doing is literally just helping them to get out of that mind frame that they should not have a voice, which I think a lot of societies teach us, especially females. We're not allowed to express ourselves. And so when you get to be about 40, 50 years old and you have lived a life where you can't hear yourself, it's not that you're not talking, it's that you're not listening. And so when I give you permission to listen, all of this stuff, freedom comes, freedom of self-expression comes. And that's that's my mission in life, is to inspire, to encourage, to empower people to be their authentic self, their true self, their original self that came into this lifetime. What does that look like? And so whether you read something that I'm writing, or you take a class, or you have a session one-on-one with me, that's my goal, is to inspire you to be you, not inspire you to be something I want you to be. It's to be yourself, whatever that looks like. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to me because when I go into the natural world, I look at a rose bush and it's short, but beautiful, and it smells beautiful, and it has little thorns. And then I look at a tree and it's really, really tall, but it doesn't have flowers, maybe. It's strong. And I'm like, what if the tree were to look at the rose bush and say, you're not tall enough. You need to be like me. And the rose bush is like, but I'm a rose bush. I have flowers. You need to be like me. But the truth is that when you see the differences and the beauty of let the rose bush be the rose bush, let the tree be the tree, let me be me, let you be you, and we can celebrate together. We have differences. We're not all the same, but in that is beauty. That's how I see it. That's how I explain it.
And that's a wonderful, because what I'm getting out of it, a lot I am, but one thing that stands out for me is that when we give permission, we also give ourselves permission, because it's not that it's it's a construct of our imagination, right? That we are not allowed to speak, to express. Sometimes it's a reality, because there were times in history, and there are still places in the world where a woman cannot speak, or maybe a man cannot express whatever he's doing. It's valid both for men and women, right?
Yes. Yes.
But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I cannot give myself permission to express myself and not to become something enclosed, if I may say so.
Yes.
And the inspiration that I get from what you just described is that by working through and with the natural world, we actually realize that we are looking for permission when
Yes.
the only one that was to give it was ourselves.
Yes, that's beautiful. I absolutely 100% agree. And yes, there are environments and places and situations that still ask us to be silent. But at the end of the day, if we can be ourselves within ourselves and be ourselves within the natural world, we are expressing this beauty that whatever it is that created us to be. And in such, being yourself and allowing yourself to be yourself gives honor and gratitude and celebration to whatever created you to be here, whatever you believe that is. You are honoring it by being what it created you to be, at least with yourself. Absolutely.
It's so wonderful. You honor it by being what you are created to be.
Yes.
Yeah. And this brings me to my next question to you. As a medicine person, as a healer, how much is this connected with what you just told us, with the fact that the healing is not something which is outside of us? Yeah, maybe we can find, maybe it's a game, it's a word game, right? So maybe we can take a medicine, and maybe that medicine, it's meant to solve something on a short term, an intense pain or something like that. But there is a difference with the medicine person, with the medicine in us. Maybe you can tell us a bit this side of yours and of other healers in your community. It will be interesting to hear some more.
Yes. So I agree with what you have to say. And I do believe that just as the natural world wants to stay in balance and express itself, whether it's cold or hot or windy or rainy, so we want to stay in balance, whether we are angry or hurt or whatever. So what I usually do is I approach a person as their own wisdom keeper. I am not here to give you my wisdom. I am here to draw your wisdom out of you. What is going on? Because inevitably you already know the answer. You just need somebody to help you process. Another thing that I do is I come from this mind frame, and this is very Navajo. This is very indigenous to the Native American First Nation. We have this concept that we have 4 bodies of existence. We have the physical body, we have the emotional body, we have the mental body, and we have a spiritual body. And so a lot of times when the physical body is hurting, sometimes it has to do with the other bodies being out of balance. Maybe, like, for example, let's say that maybe my heart got broken, or I'm sad or devastated. And after a while, my back hurts. It may not be coming from my back. It might be coming from my heart, my emotions. So, and the way that I see that is that or maybe my mind, maybe I have a headache because I'm trying to solve a problem that I can't find the solution to. And so when people come to me, I work with them wherever they are to empower them to know that you can heal yourself. That means balance. That means balance. And I hope what I'm saying translates. I hope what I'm saying makes sense to you. But at the end of the day, you can see in my body language that I am happy and excited to be here. You could also see if I was closed off, my body would change. If my mind or my emotions are closed off, my body will change. And so the expression that comes through the body is that of the heart or the mind. So then once the person begins to tell me what's going on, then I help them to see that from a natural world perspective. For example, let's say that they keep getting into an argument with somebody. And maybe this person is a family member, so they love them, but they can't stand them. And it struggles because they want to be a good person. So I say to them, maybe that person is your cactus. And they say, what? I said, don't you think that they're prickly and it hurts your feelings when you're around them? And they say, yeah. I said, maybe they are your cactus. Cactus are beautiful, but you don't get too close to a cactus. You don't hug a cactus without knowing you're going to get hurt. So love them from a little bit more of a distance. So I hope that translates, but it's kind of like helping people to balance or rebalance their spirit, their mind, their emotions through the teachings of the natural world. Does that translate?
For me, it translates, and I invite our viewers and also the one that will see the recording afterwards to write to you, to me, and tell us their opinion. It translates to me, and also I am curious even more because I know that the practice of a medicine person involves also singing, some rituals, everything meant to harmonize, because I truly believe that even a physical affection or injury, it's a reflection of an imbalance. That's what I'm getting from what you're saying also.
Yes.
So going further, it's not only the observation of the natural world, right? Which is rich in itself, so rich that we could have, I don't know, 1,000 pages at least of teachings that we can apply. But it's also the fact that it inspires us to find the proper, let's say, tools, if I may use this word, the proper tools to provide the space for healing, not healing. That's what I'm hearing. You don't heal, you empower them to heal, you said.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm curious also about these images, or this images, it's not a good word, I guess, of these tools that you develop when you listen. Because first you develop for yourself, right?
Mhm.
You use the tool on yourself. And then, as you do now, you offer them to other people,
Yes.
right? So,
Yes.
how was for you to find your tools?
It's beautiful. I love what you're saying. So one thing that I would say about the ritual, um, or creating a circle around something so that that something feels safe and can express itself and move the energy, blocked energy, whatever it is. So we can do that in the physical realm by sitting in a circle, or we can do that by in the emotional realm or mental realm or spiritual realm by, this is what I say when somebody comes into a session with me, I always start with this. I say, welcome, 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 welcome into this space and this time. I'm going to draw a circle around this space and this time and declare this space and time sacred, sacred space, sacred time. I'm going to set my ego to the outside of this circle so I can be a clear conduit for you and the divine as it reveals itself to you to provide you with whatever it is that is most beneficial to you today. And that's how I set sacred space. And what that does to different people, it causes our consciousness to be here now, not out there or in the past or in the future. It causes us to focus right here, almost like Zen, like quietness, mindfulness. And when we dedicate that and declare it sacred, that's when healing begins. Then everything that happens within those moments is directed by whatever this is. And so sacred space and ritual. So what I would say, honestly, I wasn't like raised to do certain things as much as I wish that I would have been. But when I sit quiet, it's like I have DNA memory. It's like I remember in my body, it knows. And I just relax and let it, don't overthink it, just let it come. So I remember wanting to work with a rattle. And so I bought a rattle. I was never taught how to use a rattle, but I bought a rattle and I just played with it like a child. I played with it, innocence, freedom. And I just start rattling and I'm like, whoa, I feel great. This is really, really great. And so then I would do that. And then a book would come, like my book came to you, and it would tell me, oh, this is what you do with a rattle. And I said, how did I know that? My body knew what to do. I think everybody's body will remember if they play, if they let their innocence and playfulness come out. And so the tools that I know come from within my spirit, maybe, come from maybe within my bloodline. But the beauty is that when we set things up like that, it's like a point of focus for our consciousness to come together. And like you said at the beginning, we may be speaking English right now, but there is a deeper conversation that is going on here energetically. And it's interesting because when somebody sits in that sacred space, they experience the permission to be who they are and that they're safe. And in that, their body starts releasing and relaxing. So, and I love it because the natural world teaches us ritual. It teaches us that the morning is when we wake up, that at the noontime is when it's the brightest and we can see, that in the evening we start to relax, and that at the nighttime we rest. This is a sacred ritual that all of us do. You know, some of us maybe are night people and sleep during the day. You know, you know what I'm saying. But this is a ritual that gives us a pattern or a cycle. And when we remember these patterns and cycles, we flow in these patterns and cycles. We feel comfortable and safe in these patterns and cycles. So much so, if you wake up in the middle of the night, maybe a bad dream or something, you know the sun will rise tomorrow. You depend on that natural world pattern. And so it is within your life. If you wake up and it's into an unknown situation, or it's hard, or it's dark, or it's cold, take the wisdom. The sun will come again. The clarity will come again. You are in a night, but the sun will rise within your life once again. And just knowing that relaxes a person. And that's when the energy starts flowing again.
Wow, that's wonderful. Because, you just said we are different, but we are the same. We are following a cycle, right?
Yes.
And even more, because while we know that the sun will rise again, it's imprinted in us, but also the fact that we rest, it's that we connect to another realm, right?
Yes.
Because we are dreaming.
Yes.
And I know we only have 1 hour, and again, let's do it again.
Absolutely.
What about the dreams, in your view? Are dreams possible
Yes.
healing letters for us?
Yes, absolutely. So I see dreams in a couple of different categories. Some dreams are there to help us to digest our day. So those are kind of regular dreams. You're like, okay, I've got to go. I've got to do this. I got to do that. I think that that's your mind trying to digest or understand your day. But then when it begins to relax more, you kind of, I see that we go into this state of wisdom, of connection that is bringing us, once again, sometimes in words, but moreover in action, what we are experiencing and how we can handle it. A bad dream sometimes comes because of a situation that comes, but I've had dreams where they come true, like prophetic dreams. So if I had a practice when I was younger that I would wake up and I'd have a piece of paper and a pen by my bed, and I'd wake up and I'd write down my dreams. And I just, because I wanted to explore dream time. And I did that, and I did it over and over and over again. And then after a little while, I would read them, and some of them would make sense, but some of them were like, what? And then I would begin to understand and be able to interpret, oh, that was when I was sick. I had that nightmare because my body had a fever. Oh, this was telling me a wisdom of how to interact with this person. So there's a lot that happens. So not to get too lost in it, but this is what I will say. We have different states of consciousness, biorhythms, circles, cycles. So for the most part in our life, we are up here in beta state, which is pretty fast. We're looking around and driving or cooking or cleaning or going to work or whatever we're doing. And we're in this state where our minds are, and as we dream, we go down into alpha and then theta and then delta. And delta is where we actually have those big dreams. And so it's a slower state of consciousness, but it's an honest state of consciousness. So I know we just have a few minutes left. I'm going to invite anybody who is watching this live, if you have free hands, put your fingertips together and breathe in through your nose. Hold that breath for a moment and then exhale through your mouth. And do it again. Breathe in through your nose. Hold it for a moment and then exhale through your mouth. And one more time. Find your own rhythm, your own pace. There we go. Do you feel different now?
I'm always doing that when I want to center myself.
That scientifically, we're going from beta to alpha. And in alpha, it feels slower and quieter and more relaxed. Our nervous system rebalances itself. And so in that, I ask you, do that for a minute every morning. Do that for a minute every evening for the next month and watch, because even though it seems slower, you are actually picking up and digesting faster. You are more conscious in this moment. Even the puppy dog feels more calm in this moment.
Yeah. And you notice, yeah, she wants to play and she's patiently waiting for our talk.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
That's a wonderful mirroring, if I may say,
Yes.
because if we are calm, the other mirrors back. If we
Yes.
are in a hurry, the other becomes anxious, doesn't know, starts to hurry, the connection doesn't work anymore, loss of connection. But the nature doesn't hurry anyway, right?
Right.
She's waiting for us to finally realize there's no reason to hurry.
Yes. I love that.
And your exercise, it's also a natural, inspired one, right?
Yes.
I'm not a specialist by no means, but I look at my dogs, I look at my horse, I look at my cats, I even look at the field behind me.
Mm-hmm.
It's breathing. That's all. Yeah.
Yes, that is it. And one thing that I do want to say to anybody who is listening to this, you let nature speak to you, and however it reveals itself to you is your connection. You don't have to look in a book to see if you got it right or wrong. You don't have to ask somebody else. When you see that bird fly over and you think to yourself, oh, and it sits down, you're like, maybe I need to rise above my problems and look around and approach them in certain ways, like some of the wisdom that your people have brought in the social media. It's like, yes, whatever it spoke to you is correct. That is correct. It's like sometimes people say to me, what does this mean? What does that mean? And I say, I will tell you what it means to me. But more importantly, what did it mean to you? Were you excited? Did you feel watched over? What is the words? Because the natural world and animals and plants, no matter how you were raised, what culture, we all have that. That is the wisdom. And when we live in different climates, or we live closer to the equator or farther from the equator and the cold and everything, the natural world teaches us how to be in that climate. And it's beautiful. So whatever the natural world says to you, that is what it's saying. You don't have to look for somebody else. You can do research and learn, but maybe I will hear something different from the tree. Maybe you hear from the tree, be still and breathe. And I hear from the tree, stand straight and tall, but they're both true. Both of those things are true. And both of those things are what we need to hear personally.
Yeah, and that brings me to the fact that my truth doesn't have to be your truth, but
Yes.
this doesn't make it any less true, right?
Correct. That is well said. Perfect. Yes.
And I also notice our time, but I also want to mention one thing that I found absolutely beautiful while reading your book is the fact that after we practice on ourselves and we just realize we have teachers all over, we just stop and listen. We can apply this also in our relationships.
Yes.
Because it's in our nature, right? It's in our nature to be in relationship. It's not in our nature to be separated, to have fences, to have walls, to have things between us. Even a cactus, right?
Yes.
I can still have a relationship with a cactus, but
Yes.
it's a different approach than maybe with a tulip or a rose or whatever. So
Exactly.
tell us a bit about this next level or same level. It's not a hierarchy, but the fact that by improving the relationship with listening to ourselves, we finally get to listen to the other person. And
Yes.
of course, it's a choice. I don't have to hug the cactus to be in a relationship with the
Right.
cactus, right?
Right. Yes. It's beautiful because, and I thank you for taking us here, because this is a wonderful note. The wisdom that we get, we can apply it to our relationships, to work and finance, and to our health and well-being. So that's what this book brings forward, is how to apply the wisdom of the natural world to that through the animals' connectivity and how they treat each other. My husband, he walks through the world like a wolf, 4 feet on the ground, practical. He sees what's right in front of him. I move through the world like a crow or a raven. I'm up here. I see a big picture. I'm looking around and flying high. So how do we communicate? Because he says, you need to come down? No. I say, you need to climb the tree? No. But we're moving in the same direction. And I say to him, what do you see? And he says, I see this in front of me. And I'm like, I don't see that. I'm just going to go over it. And he's like, but you need to wait for me because I need to move around the tree. And so we're headed in the same direction. And what we do is we see more because we're looking at things from two different perspectives. And in such respecting each other, we gain and grow. So maybe you're in a relationship. Think about what kind of animal you're behaving like in that relationship. Think about what kind of animal the other person is behaving like in that relationship. And then think about how do they interact in the natural world. When you're looking at your business or finances, you can look at it and go, what landscape do I see here? Is it a desert? So that means that I need to make sure that I have enough resources, right? When you look at your health and well-being, you can go, oh, how am I, if I am a pine tree, I know in my health and well-being that I can take cold and I always stay happy and green. But if I am a palm tree, I need to make sure that I get enough sunlight, enough water to take care of my physical body. So that may sound mysterious, but that is the final thing. The wisdom from the natural world, plants, animals, and Mother Earth, how we can gain spiritual and practical teachings from Mother Earth.
And that's a really practical lesson that you just portrayed now, because
Yes.
when I'm trying to impose my perspective on my partner, we only have my perspective. And from above, I might not see the tree. And the other way around, of course. But when you have two perspectives, I
Yes.
can let you know a tree is going to appear, and you can prepare beforehand in order to go on another path, right?
Yes.
So in the end, being in a relationship with my partner, with the nature, with my dog,
Yes.
it actually makes me more powerful, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
That is so wonderful teachings, and I would recommend it in English, but I will say it in Romanian also, for everyone to just take a look and see if it resonates with you. There are so many practical examples in, I will say it in Romanian, Înțelepciunea lumii naturale, which was published, care a fost publicată la editura Niculescu. And I take the opportunity also to announce that we have some winners of a book in Romanian written by Granddaughter Crow, with a special message that I received from her for each of you. And it will be delivered to you, as we said 1 week ago. So thank you for your inspiring words. It was touching to see them. And one of you wrote that the simple fact of sharing that with us brought a lot of joy. So I would say that the simple fact that you will or have already been here in this space with us brings me personally a lot of joy. And I would like to thank you so much for this evening. And I would love to leave a door open to continue our talk. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
being here.
Thank you so much. And everybody who is here, may you find beauty within the world, in the natural world, and mirror that beauty within you.
Wow, so wonderful to mirror the beauty in each of us. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mulțumesc și vouă, celor care ați fost cu noi, celor care veți fi pe înregistrare, bineînțeles. Ne revedem la un alt episod în curând. De altfel, cred că este chiar miercurea viitoare. Și să aveți o seară minunată, inspirată. And you also, I was just saying and wishing an evening for us, a morning in other parts of the world, a noon maybe, everyone to have a flowing day or night ahead. Thank you, everyone.